We all know that real estate has created more millionaires than any other industry on the planet. We also know that it has created a lot of heartache due to mismanagement, overborrowing, and just simple life events that happen to all of us. Welcome to the Cash Flow Pro podcast. My name is Casey Brown, and I am your fearless leader. And although we might be bourbon sipping and at times foul-mouthed Southerners, we will always do our best to be honest, straightforward, and due diligent with all of the information we pass along to you. Welcome to the show. Hey there, and welcome to today's episode of Cash Flow Pro, your daily real estate investing podcast and YouTube channel. I'm here today with Sam Sells from Wild Mountain Capital. And Sam was just telling me how hot it is in Texas and how hot the real estate market is in Texas, although he's spread across several states. It is hot down there, isn't it, Sam?
It sure is. It's
That's both
super hot here.
figuratively and in all reality. It is what he said. It was a quaint 97 degrees outside, so he was able to get a little cool weather. So anyway, but Sam, how are you today?
I'm doing well. Yeah, 97 is way better than 104. And it is way too early in the year to be this hot.
Yeah, it's the same way here in Kentucky, man. It's like everything just stopped. And as a matter of fact, I just read a post somewhere a minute ago that said this summer in Kentucky is God's way of saying hell is going to be hotter than this. So act right or something like that. So
Yeah.
but anyway, so Sam, tell us a little bit about yourself and where you come from and how you kind of got maybe started in real estate.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I'm a retired Air Force officer. I, enlisted back in 2003. Was a firefighter for 6 years. During that time, I started flipping homes with a partner. I was 23 or 24 when I joined the military. And before I joined the military, I'd worked in construction for several years. So it wasn't just, walking in completely blind without knowing what I was doing. I
Sure.
have worked with a partner a long time ago who thought studs went sideways. I don't know.
You can't
And
make that up either. That's
yeah,
unbelievable.
yeah. So
Wow.
our partnership didn't last very long. Yeah, and I partner with somebody, a good friend and family, extended family member, and he did the construction. I did all the financing at that time while I was in the military, hopping around the world. Um, and it worked out really well. We made it through the crisis just fine. The first major financial crisis there in 2008, 2009, and we did so because our basis was low. And
Sure.
that's a lesson that's kind of stuck with me forever. And it looks like, we're heading that direction again. And, everyone's thinking about how much am I paying for these properties? Well, you should have thought about that, last year or the year before, when things were really good.
Yeah.
Make sure you got your basis. So anyhow, retired Air Force guy, spent the last better part of 12 years as an international health specialist, combat aviation advisor, combat advisor, basically traveling the world, working with foreign militaries, helping to develop health care systems, casualty evacuation, and battlefield movement, to training systems for doctors, combat medics, logistics, medical logistics, so forth and so on. Really, really enjoyed that, and have grew, just really passionate about healthcare security, financial security. Seeing, I feel like I grew up poor in America, and I remember as a kid taking baths and horse troughs that my dad had set up on, cement blocks. We thought that was pretty cool back then, except when it was snowing outside and there was a fire underneath the horse trough, and our feet would get burnt. Our backsides
Golly.
were freezing cold, and snow was landing on our hair. Sitting in 6 inches of water outside. So it's like, everything's about perspective, but then going and living, working with Afghan National Police, Border Patrol, traveling all over Afghanistan, Africa, Sub-Saharan Africa, Asia, and just seeing people in mud huts and every, everything from mud huts to, villas. It's, in the bush. It's just amazing what, poor means around the world. And so,
Yeah.
you can't have good health if you don't have good financial security. You can't have good health or financial security if you don't have good housing security. And if you're spending all your money days trying to figure out how you're going to live, you can't go out and focus on increasing your income and learning new skills and education and all those things that come out of it. And so we, get towards the end of my Air Force career, started thinking about how do we ensure retirement for my dad, who's in his 60s, and only had $80,000 saved in his 401k. His construction companies that he had worked with forever didn't have retirement plans. Social Security doesn't work. It's a broken system because we broke it, and then we as an American broke it. And then how do I create a good financial security for him and while doing something good? And so we got into multifamily investing based off of some of those motivations.
Sure, sure, yeah. And so so when you first started realizing that real estate was the way to go, and I say on my show particularly, we should call it like the second version of like we should call real estate and raising capital and multifamily real estate, especially like military 2.0, because it's like so many guys or guys and ladies come out of the military, and it's like, it's such a systematic everything. I assume I was not military, but I'm assuming that that things are so systematic, and like everything from what we see on movies and stuff, from boot camp all the way up, everything just being systematic. And it's like that automatically duplicates over into this business very, very, very well, because what we're doing here is not just um it's virtually the same thing every day, and
Yeah.
and not the same thing every day, but you know what I mean. It's a very systematic process. You have tenants, they pay rent, the property manager manages the property, they pay you, and then ultimately it ends up being a return in somebody's, whatever it is, account
Mhm.
or checking account, whatever. And so it's always amazing to me how many folks, especially higher ups in the military, either retire or get out and just turn their sights towards real estate. Because the other part of that too is with the moving around. I think a lot of these guys, at least here at Fort Campbell, where I'm located, well, I'm right up the road from Fort Campbell. A lot of guys end up in the rental ownership business kind of accidentally. They buy a house here, and I know, much not like the market is today, but many, many times they buy a house here, they jump out, and now all of a sudden they're like, okay, hey, my house is worth less than what I owe on it. I have no choice but to rent it out. So you rent it out, and then they end up in the property management business or the property ownership business, indirectly, and then unintentionally, I guess. And so, do you think a lot of folks start that way, or do you think that's, I mean, what do you think the correlation is between this? These are my outside observations, obviously, because I'm not past military, but what do you think the correlation is between so many guys coming out and getting into this business?
Yeah, I think there's a multitude of factors there. So one of them is, yeah, I just, I've never lived anywhere in my life longer than 4 years. And that place
Hmm.
that I lived for 4 years, I was gone 11 or 12 months on a deployment in one section of that. So, and during that time, I flipped a house and
Yeah.
made 30 grand, so, um, I think, um, there is that, yeah, military people move from place to place. And if they're living off base, then they're buying homes and selling homes. And the past, 10, 15 years, they've probably made a profit on that house. And, some military folks learn how to do the house hack where you can buy a fourplex with a VA no money down loan, and you live there for a year, then you can move to another, buy another fourplex, and be an owner occupant and put the other one up for, refinance the other one and so forth. And so they build up, a small multifamily, small multifamily portfolio of fourplexes and threeplexes and duplexes.
Yeah.
Per and then at point uh, or what and so there's that. There's also this sense that a lot of us want to be entrepreneurs. We're tired of working in a system where everything is dictated by someone somewhere who may or may not have done the thing that we're doing.
Yeah.
And so that there's that, the entrepreneurship, and so and also look, particularly as a young officer getting deployed to various places, all of a sudden you're just like all that stuff's out the window. You need to bring order, chaos, and you're responsible for other people's lives. And so you're just trying to figure out how to bring the order, chaos, how to lead, how to take 100% ownership of everything that happens under your purview, whether you're responsible or not responsible. And Jocko Willink and the other guy who I'm forgetting his name, did a great job in extreme ownership of detailing what that looks like, but which is
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
normal leadership in the military. Yeah.
I think Extreme Ownership, the book is like almost like a bridge between it's built the bridge between military service and this entrepreneurial journey that many are on, um by a variance of factors, obviously. I think the folks that read that are past military, like you see yourself, like it's almost like a reflection to a certain degree. And then much like Rich Dad Poor Dad is kind of the same scenario for many of the people that read it. It's like you can almost immerse yourself in that character, and then you see yourself, and then you come out on the other side and you're like, damn, we can do this. And so yeah, I definitely think that was a bridge for sure. And so many of the other, you know so many of the other military lifestyle books. But so tell us a little bit. Let's kind of transition from that. Tell us a little bit about, like, so your first deal and your first capital raise. What were the factors? What did it look like? Was it a 506B or 506C? How did all of that look when it came down the pipe?
Yeah, so we had purchased a couple of properties before we ever went to before I learned anything about um, syndication and all that stuff. So you know we we purchased a couple. We spent all of our money plus some stuff on credit card and refinanced the car to get there, and then um, you know we bought the second one was a mobile home park, and to put it bluntly, we went after really distressed properties, and we targeted those that we thought we can make a difference and make money doing it. And so we bought this mobile home park. It was making about $5,000 a month. My dad moved there, not when I moved there, but he went and basically lived there, him and my mom, and um, in an RV, and then they worked and got to know all the people, and you know, kicked out really bad tenants who can't abide by rules and can't keep people safe, and women that were going around picking fights with other women in the park. I mean, just crazy things. You just can't have that.
Yeah, you could
People,
probably write a book about that.
oh yeah, we could definitely write a book just about that. But governance is important, right? Governance is super important.
Yeah,
Uh,
especially in some of those scenarios, um,
Absolutely.
where
And so
there's I was just going to
yeah,
say, where there's, if there's drugs and stuff in an active park, it's very it's almost an immediate need, but it also has to be carefully done because, you end up getting shot. All the capital raising and all the real estate deals in the world aren't going to matter. So,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
anyway, go
that's
ahead.
yeah. One of our internal rules is like no shot.
Yeah, don't get
Um,
shot. Top of
don't
the
get
list.
shot. It's up a little. Uh, you know, definitely don't break the rules. Is worth or you know to do, which is make a difference. So we went from making a month to clearing over 10,000 a month in about 6 months or 7 months of really diligent labor. And
Wow.
so all in, we'd put in $100,000 into this property. In about 10 months, we pulled $118,000 back out um, in profit.
So
And
yeah, and then
so
that's kind of a springboard to really get rolling, I guess, right?
yeah, so we're like, oh my goodness, this stuff actually works, right? This stuff
Yep.
actually works, and um, you know, we decided, well, let's. I'm a team guy. I spent my time in special operations, and it was all team stuff, and then went out into the regular Air Force. Air Force is a little bit different how they do special operations versus the Army or the Navy. Um, but for me, you know, um, team, all the way back from being a firefighter when I first joined the Air Force to that time, teamwork was just how things operated the best. And so I built a team, and it's like, well, how do we raise money? And somebody said, oh, I heard about syndication. So we looked that up, and got a couple of really really books. One of them is best ever apartment syndication book.
Yep.
The other one was how to raise capital for real estate by Hunter Thompson.
Yep.
There's another one, how to raise money legally for real estate. And that just kind of opened my mind to, oh, we can do this. Now, the best ever apartment syndication book probably is the best apartment syndication book that I've read, at least
Yep.
detailing how to do it. Is it perfect? No.
Well, the
No,
nuances
but
of the business are never there. There's very little ability for anybody to write a book about problems with ongoing problems with property management or property management theft or whatever the
yeah,
case is. And there's always those risks, and that's what I always try to tell the folks that come to us, and like, hey, we try to mitigate all of these risks, but you have to understand that it's very difficult for us to mitigate a secretary taking cash from the drawer when nobody really knew it. Now the property management company obviously has to stand good for that, but what I'm getting at is those are the things that, like, the one-off things that happen are very difficult. So they try to give us, Joe tried to give us a decent path, and then the variances from that path obviously are the things that make the world go round. But you're right. And then of course Hunter Thompson's book, and I'm in Hunter's mastermind,
okay,
quite possibly one of the most genuine people there are around in this business. He does a wonderful job of leading with value, and really just giving everything that he has up front. And then when it's time to learn more, of course, then you got to pay up, and it's perfectly. And I think people feel like they get their worth when they go in with Hunter and Raise Masters. But let's, I don't think we've gotten to the very first syndication and the actual capital raise, because I think you were talking about you've done some deals, some one-off deals. Was the mobile home park a capital raise or no, or did you just do that on your own?
so the first two we did between my dad and I. Number three, we syndicated, very small, purchased a 72 lot mobile home park, had 20 $180 purchase. We raised 300 grand. I never thought I could raise money before, but we syndicated that. We got all the docs squared away. A lot of that first one. And since then, I think we've syndicated probably 15 deals. And then we've done joint ventures, other types of partnerships on others. So we have 21 properties or assets under management currently. And we're owner operators. So I have my own property management company, and I'll tell you why that makes sense for us. And we also have our own development company, our own construction company. So I look at things a bit different. So my background in housing, our healthcare, looking at financial security, we're really targeting high yield, heavy lifts. So we're looking at properties that are 25% occupied, 35% occupied, all the way up to about 80% occupied, as long as there's some level of distress there. And in today's market, if it's 80% occupied, 85%, it's distress, particularly if it's in Dallas area or one of these other hot markets where there's just not enough housing.
Sure.
And so what we're looking at is really this holistic view that our money can be clean. When you invest in, let's say, the stocks, you have no idea where your cash is going, right?
Correct.
For all you know, it could be going to buy, it could be going to Russia to fund the war, right?
Correct.
On the
Yeah.
opposite side, right? You don't know. You really don't know. It could be clean money. It could be dirty money. You don't know, right? And so we really, we're looking at this from a different perspective of, hey, I can invest in a clean way. I'm not laundering money. What I'm doing is I'm taking money and I'm investing it in a way that's going to change lives. It's going to build up that community, and it's going to grow wealth, because we're still operating within a capitalistic paradigm.
Correct.
The government cannot solve the affordable housing crisis. They just can't. Now they can make policies that would, the downstream effect that will increase access to affordable housing. Yes. Will they do that? Probably not. At least not in a way that will make a huge difference. If they do, fantastic. But most of the time, they're not aware of their downstream effects. Okay. And then,
Yep.
So we're looking at properties where we can make a really positive impact on our residents. So our property management company, and look, when we're buying a 25% occupied place, no property management company, third-party company wants to take on that project.
I mean, it's hard for that to be profitable any kind of way. But of course, you might get some that would take it on with the idea that, hey, here and based on a timeline of how long it's going to take to get it up and going. But so I want to dig in. I want to kind of go back just a hair. The capital raises, and maybe you said this, I think our internet connection, it got a little fuzzy there for a minute. So although the recording is going to be clear, maybe I missed this, but were they 506B or 506C?
506B. We've only done 506Bs because we've really been passionate about ensuring non-accredited investors have access to invest money the way that institutions and institutional investors are able to grow their wealth.
Sure. Now, those pre-existing relationships, are they mostly family? Are they mostly friends? A mix of both? Or are there people that you've kind of met along the way that you've at some point invited in after, of course, procuring a substantive, I forget what my attorney called it,
substantive relationship.
Correct.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Yep.
None of us want to go to jail, and none of us want to get any kind of penalization from the SEC.
Correct.
So what we've done is we've worked with other capital raisers and are diligent and make sure that they follow that. They understand the SEC rules. They know where to access those rules. Talk about stories of people getting it wrong, sometimes intentionally, sometimes just they didn't understand the rules, and so they got it wrong. And the SEC
and unfortunately, the SEC does not care.
No,
The
they don't.
they well, and a lot of people don't realize this too, that the SEC, like if you come down under their hammer and they're like, send me your whole email server, and okay, well, I don't want, I don't, we don't care what it costs, you get some money to get us the email server and get it all over here. And it's like they're not forgiving whatsoever. And because in my opinion, the financial markets are kind of where that's where the human meets the paper, or human meets the the ability to move. So I guess that's probably why they're so just difficult. But yeah,
Yeah,
it's a trying scenario for sure. And then my attorney, of course, we do 506c, but my attorney's like, just keep track of all communications with everybody, and and then that also leads you to the end in that, in a 506c, of ensuring that somebody's accredited. I mean, you do your due diligence, and you can only do all you can do. If they're lying and they made up an attorney letter or whatever, I mean, you can only do what you can do to ensure that. So but yeah, it those relationships are difficult, so or can be
yeah,
difficult at times. So but
yeah.
so you,
It's on our mind all the time, and
yeah, well, it has to be.
we have yeah, it has to be. And so our attorney, with 21 projects, heavy lifts, we eventually just hired our attorney full time because he's running the gamut of, sometimes we have to evict people. They're not safe. They're unwilling to work with any institution or group, that a charitable organization that will provide you know um, rent relief to them.
Yeah,
They just refuse, and they want to destroy the apartments, and they want to bring drugs into the community. All those folks have to leave. They need to go. They have to be held accountable. And legally, you can't have people in your apartments that are living for free. I mean, it's against the law. um, I don't know that a lot of non-property owners know that. Property owners know that, but a lot of others don't know that it is actually against the law for people to live for free in your apartments. And so, in state laws, all vary just a little bit around those topics. But we are very concerned. We are happy to do 506Cs. We will do some 506Cs in the future, um, just to reduce the onus of liability. We also have worked with institutional partners. So our last deal we closed with an institutional group, a multi-billion-dollar institution out of California, who has similar goals as we do, and it was a nice alignment of activity. We are partnering more and more with capital raisers. This is a team sport, right? And if your superpower is raising capital and getting the word out, then we'd love to work with you. The difference between us and just about everybody else is that we are deeply concerned about the impact of our dollars, the investment in, where are our dollars going? It has to be clean. It has to be, you know, done right. The property needs to be renovated, cleaned up. It's got to be clean. It's got to be safe. Do rents come up? Yes, we provide value to our residents, and they're willing to pay for it. Right? They're sick and tired of spending $150 downtown on laundry every month, and now we're going to put laundry in their apartment, and they're only going to have to pay $75 a month.
yeah,
Did their rent go up? Yes. Did they go up as much? But their overall expense went down.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah. And we see
and
that a
yeah,
lot with, and it's win. There's a lot of win-win scenarios when you're looking at these deals, and you're underwriting, and you're thinking about fitness centers. Well, you can do away with your, maybe the fitness center membership is $50 a month. You can do away with your $100 a month gym membership, and so it's win-win for everybody, because it brings the money back to the community for you all, and then obviously profit for the investors at the end of the day. The so the value add kind of things are most definitely, again, like I said, there's a lot of win-win scenarios. One thing that I wanted to ask on your well, I guess I wanted to bring up, of course, and we've run into this because we're a fund of funds, and or
Mhm.
we operate from the fund of funds model, which essentially puts us in the investor relations business more so than the day to day operations business. And it's very very beneficial for everybody. Really, it's just like you
Mhm.
said, you're open to working with other capital raisers who want to come into your deals. But what we've ran into, and I think the the issue is when 506B meets 506C, and there's only I think one scenario where it works where you can have a 506B offering be a fund, be a fund that then invests, or I'm sorry, you have a 506C offering of a fund that then invests in a 506B, because obviously a 506B can take as many an unlimited amount of accredited investors. So a 506C would substantiate the idea that they're all accredited, so then they could invest in that deal. But it does not work the other way around, to the best of my understanding. Have you done any research on that, or do you know?
Yeah, so you can do a 506B and a 506C in the same deal. It's got to be separate offerings, and it's got to be legally set up that way.
But your
I know,
506B cannot invest in your 506C offering, though, right?
right?
Unless
So
they're all accredited.
correct, absolutely correct, and verified accredited, right? Not
Verified
just
accredited. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, I'm a doctor, so I'm accredited.
Yeah.
Okay, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
uh,
Verified accredited means, use verify investor or a letter from an attorney or an accountant. And the other part of that is, and we're just learning about this from through my attorney. He has really been very very forthcoming with information and very generous with his time in teaching our crew exactly what's going on here. But I didn't realize that you could have a 506B offering that then morphs into a 506C at a later date. And I think there's just kind of becoming some clarity on some of these rules and ideas and different things that can be done. Um, but mostly because it's all we're kind of in new ground, and a lot of people don't realize these Regulation D, or like the Jobs Act, when we're still, a lot of this stuff is still in its infancy. A lot of these things used to have to be introduced through IPOs and through different methods of putting them out there. So um but anyway, well, listen, well, Sam, it sounds like you all are kind of on a just a good, well beaten path of and like you said, I want the listeners out there to understand that if he moves into new offerings and stuff, reach out to Sam. I know he'll be glad to take care of you. Hi, this is Casey Brown, host of the Cash Flow Pro podcast and YouTube channel. Have you been thinking about investing in real estate but just don't know where to begin? I'd like to help by inviting you to check out our website at www.3000capital.com. There you will find an array of material that will help you learn all about real estate syndication. And while you're there, be sure to check out our free video series download titled 5 Must-Know Keys to Success in Passive Real Estate Investing. I'd also like to personally thank you for making Cash Flow Pro part of your day. Now, back to the show. But Sam, we've got a couple of questions that we ask every guest that comes on the show that I would like. There's no right or wrong answer, but I'd like to ask you, what is the best book that you have? I'm sorry. What is the best book that you have recently read or are currently reading?
so I'm a book that was recently shared with me is $100 Million Offers by Alex Hormozy or Ormozy.
Yeah.
Very interesting, very colorful language, but just kind of an interesting take on how to capture value and present value. Um, so definitely not the best book I've ever read, but also not the worst book I've ever read.
Awesome.
He's
Yeah.
got some
Okay. You're
really
presenting the
interesting
value.
points.
I like the way you said that. Presenting the value is ultimately what all of us do every day. Present the value. And if you present the value correctly, you get investors. And if you get investors, then everybody makes money and life is happy, right? So, all right, what is a dream vacation that you have either taken or hope to take?
I took my wife to Maui for our 21st wedding event anniversary.
Wow.
We had planned to go on our 20th anniversary to Seoul, Korea. I've been to Korea a bunch of times and thought
Sure.
it'd be great to take her to Seoul and then down south to Busan and show her a lot of my old stomping grounds. And COVID kept screwing that up, and
Yep.
so we got lured into a cheap flights to Maui, and then realized it was very expensive to stay in Maui. But we had, we spent a little over a week there, and just absolutely loved Maui. A lot of aloha culture, which is really kind of been lost at in Honolulu and Oahu, and so we really enjoyed that aloha culture. And
Sure.
yeah.
Good deal. Well, awesome, man. Well, Sam, listen, if the listeners heard something out there that they want to reach out to you and talk to you more about, or something resonated with them, or even quite possibly they want to become kind of in your tribe where they could potentially make an investment with you at some point, what is the best way for them to reach out and get in touch with you?
Yeah, if anyone's ever concerned with what their dollars are actually doing, they want to have a larger impact just than making money. Um, please find us www.wildmountaincapital.com, or reach out to me directly, sam@wildmountaincapital.com, and we'll get you. Love to talk to you. And if you're a capital raiser and you're looking for an operator who's been around the block is really in these high value add, true value add, where we're not just coming in and changing the color of the cabinets and then charging more, but we're coming in and putting in cabinets because there weren't any.
Yep.
Or
We've
some
definitely
other
seen some of those too.
yeah, some other iteration of that. Then definitely reach out to us. Love talking to people, and it's better as a team sport. So let's.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, listen, Sam, thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it. And I know the listeners out there are thankful. And listeners, as always, head down and hit the subscribe button. And if you don't mind, please leave us a 5-star review with any ideas and things that you would maybe like to hear or hear us talk about here on the show. And Sam, again, thank you so much.
Thank you, Casey. Really appreciate it.
Yes.
Cashflow Pro is hosted by Casey Brown, founder and CEO of 3000 Capital, a commercial real estate investment firm committed to providing its investors with ongoing cash flow and helping them build long-term wealth. If you enjoyed today's podcast, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you'll be notified about all our future episodes. You can find more information about us and our investment philosophy by clicking the link in the show notes below. Thanks for listening.